Back again with another loaf of that sweet, 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 sweet French toast. I think that might just be my new opening line right there. Today's quote comes from Marcus Aurelius, and it goes a little something like this. When people hate or blame you, or say hurtful things about you, look deeply into their hearts and see what kind of people they are. You'll see how unnecessary it is to strain after their good opinion. Here once again, Marcus Aurelius provides us with valuable advice on how to deal with challenging people and how to react when someone insults you or speaks unkindly of you. His advice is that we should peer into these people's hearts and see what kind of people they really are. And in doing so, what we will discover is that these are not the kinds of people whose respect and admiration we want. When you peer into these people's hearts, the ones who speak ill of you or who insult you, and you try to figure out who and what they really are, you may come to realize that they're very different from you, that they have very different values, or that they are leading very different lives. And so, when they insult you or when they speak ill of you, it's not out of any real malice, and it's nothing personal. It's that, from their point of view, what you're doing is totally ass backwards. From their point of view, the qualities that you are trying to embody are flaws. From their point of view, the values that guide your actions are actually vice. And so how can you blame them for thinking ill of you or having a low opinion of you? It's not their fault. They're blinded. They're stuck in their little narrow world, and you're standing outside of that very constricted space. So from their point of view, you're a fool. When you peer into their hearts and you realize this, you experience a brief but powerful insight. Insults and unkind words from these people are to be regarded as compliments. They're Compliminsult. I had to coin a term for it. Because when you get to know someone and you realize that they are not the type of person that you have a lot in common with, or you realize that they're the type of person who is very different from you and who holds very different values, then their opinion of you really stops to matter. I actually discovered the power of this quotation firsthand a few years ago. I went camping with a group of people, and I got to see very quickly that my way of camping and my philosophy around children when they're camping and what's right and what's wrong during camping was very, very, very different from this other person. For instance, I think that when I'm camping, peeing outside is pretty natural. You can agree or disagree, it makes no difference. Find a private spot in the bushes and go for it. It feels good to pee outside. At least it feels good to me. And of course, my children, being my children, feel the same way. So during this camping trip, I have no problem with my kids peeing outside. As I said before, as long as they're doing it in private, find a secluded spot, pop a squat, kid, do what you gotta do. No problem. But this other person, who also had a child here, it was a big problem for her. And at one point, she even said to her kid, "No, you can't pee outside. Animals pee outside." Now, how do I know she said this? I was standing right there. She said it right in front of me. So, to me, that is an attempt at delivering some kind of thinly veiled insult. And I say thinly, very thinly veiled. I mean, again, she basically called me and my kids animals. So, now, before I woke up and before I started on this journey, I would have fought fire with fire. I would have probably delivered some cutting insults to this woman. I would have really taken her down a few steps. But when this happened, I had a very different reaction. I burst out laughing. Of course she thinks that of me, because that's just not the kind of person she is. She's wound tighter than a spring. She's prudish, and she has a lot of qualities that I dislike in a person. So when she tries to deliver an insult to me about my lifestyle or how I view camping or my kids peeing outside, I just laughed. And I told my kid, that's right, only animals pee outside. And then I turned to the woman and I said, guess what we are? And I walked away because I didn't really need to say anything else. We are animals. And that's probably why it feels so good to pee outside. Because that's how we did it for 190 some odd thousand years. You know, when you really don't care about someone's opinion and they express that opinion to you, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't offend. It doesn't hurt. It's just like a fly landing on the wall. Now look, there's a fly. Oh look, this person thinks I'm an idiot. Great. Makes no fucking difference. Because you know yourself and you know what you're doing. And from the outside looking in, maybe it looks a little strange. From the outside listening in, it might sound a little weird. But if it makes you happy and you're comfortable with it, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. Anyways, that's it for me. Thanks for joining me on this drive, and live well, my friends.